is it also something like when we talk about certain acids
Yeah.
for the skin? So hydroloric, what do you call it?
Hyaluronic acid.
Hyaluronic acid,
Yes.
exactly. So that acid is good when we take it in the, as a morning care routine instead of in a night care routine.
Uh, okay, that
Or
is a very good question. Have you heard it?
yes, I have
Yeah.
heard it somewhere, and just follow up question on this. And is it like for a night routine, it should be more of a ceramide and peptides instead of hyaluronic acid? Is it something like that?
That is also another crazy thing that because in general I will come to that what I think about that, but in general that is also why I wrote my book that came out in 2019, the Scandinavian Skincare Bible. That I just thought that I meet all these women that are so well educated, so smart. They are so they have like their criticism eye towards everything else. But when it comes to skincare, it's so many things that is not really questioned. Like, for example, I have to use this product before that, or I have to use that, etc. So about hyaluronic acid, and I know, first of all, hyaluronic acid is such a big molecule, so I don't think that it really would do anything for the skin anyway. That is exactly like collagen. So if you think about hyaluronic acid as a molecule, it's 1 million Dalton. It's a measurement of a molecular weight. And if you compare that to vitamin C, it's 176 Dalton. So vitamin C can penetrate the skin, 176 Dalton. Hyaluronic acid has a molecular weight of 1 million Dalton. And the cutoff point of going into the skin is 500 Dalton. So 500 Dalton compared to 1 million Dalton, hyaluronic acid will not do anything. It's really just a gel. It will just create a gel that is lying on top of the skin. So, and in that aspect, since it will not really affect your skin, it will not make any difference if you use it morning and night. And even if it would have an effect, it would also not matter if you would have it day or night. The only compounds that is matter if you have it day and night, that is molecules that are easily affected by the sun, because you shouldn't use ingredients that can degrade in the sun, because if you use ingredients that are affected by the sun and they are broken down by the sun, then you get molecules that can actually trigger allergic reactions or other reactions in the skin, and that you should. So basically, you should be very careful on what you put on your skin during the daytime when you are out in the sun.
And hyaluronic acid is a complete myth.
Yeah,
I
definitely.
believe, because it's not possible to get it on our, penetrate in our skin.
No.
It can only be done either with, as you are saying, injecting.
Yeah. And then it works very well, as we can see if you use it in your lips or in the cheeks or whatever. It really gives big results.
So my next question is, what people should look for when reading a product label?
Good question. Yes, very good question. And this is, of course, very difficult if you are not a chemist, and to read an inky list, as we say, a product label, it is very, very difficult. So I'm very humble, so to say, when I because it can't be easy. So what I think you can think about is that try to look for short ink lists. It's not necessary to have a very many ingredients. I mean, if you use, let's say that someone would use 5 products a day, maybe with a at least 50 ingredients, or sometimes you even use 10 products with all the makeup and everything. And then it's not uncommon that you get 500 ingredients on your skin every day. Ingredients that you don't really know how they interact with each other, and the skin is also not does also not like to get in contact with so many molecules, because you have the immune cells that is lying in the skin, and they have kind of arms, very superficial arms, that is feeling or sensing ingredients that they are not used to. And think about the skin, they are not used to anything else than what the skin actually is producing. So I mean, all this about that you should have natural ingredients, and you should have botanical extracts, etc. That is crazy, because the skin is really not used to that. The skin is used to what the skin is producing itself. So try to minimize the ingredients. That's a very important thing. Also try to look for what ingredients that the skin is used to. For example, ceramides are good ingredients. Squalane is a good oil, because that is actually an oil that we have in the skin already. And different kind of vitamins that we already have in the skin. Zinc, for example, is a good ingredient, that a good mineral that triggers a lot of enzymes in the skin. So yeah, we have already thought about all this. We are only using ingredients that are the skin is producing itself, or mostly. And we are minimizing the ingredients list, and we remove preservatives, because that is also one thing that the skin can really be affected to, preservatives. And we remove all, of course, perfume. Why would you have perfume in your skincare? I would never use a fragranted skincare product, for example, because that is also totally unnecessary. Then you have the immune cells that is there, and that has the potential of reacting to a fragrance that the skin is not used to.
And is it also true, like, if a person is, consuming most of the time these preservative kind of products for longer years, or for, let's say, for many years, can that lead to certain conditions like skin cancer or something like that?
We don't know, because there is no research done on it, so we don't know. What I have seen, from my personal experience at least, what I have seen is that if you use a skincare routine that contains many ingredients, but also, for example, acids. So if you are using skincare that is based on acids, for many years, you actually thinning out the outermost layer of the skin, the stratum corneum, and then you are more sensitive to other ingredients, because if you're thinning out the skin, you're more sensitive to sun exposure. You're also more sensitive to compounds that are penetrating the skin more easily. And then my personal experience is that then you can get more sensitive skin. You can get more prone to get rosacea, more prone to get that of perioral dermatitis,
so
for example.
It is more like you get more vulnerable to any kind of conditions.
Yeah,
it could be
definitely.
Serious conditions, skin conditions. So talking on the Skinome and your vision with the Skinome, what makes a Skinome different from other typical skincare brands?
So I think everything, actually, because we are completely questioning. Our mission is really to only do what we know is best for the skin and not compromise on that. That we would never compromise on. But we will compromise on other things. For example, we are compromising on shelf life. We are always writing out, for example, production date, expiry date, and our products have a shorter shelf life than other products. So that we are compromising on to be able to remove preservatives. We're also compromising on how we let the consumer store the products. So directly after production, we are cooling down all our products, and we are having a big fridge room, refrigerator room. And then when the consumer get the product, we also recommend the consumer to store it in the fridge. Not all the products, but some products that are sensitive. So that we will compromise on. And so in a nutshell, it is really to do everything that our knowledge is that it's the best for the skin. So we are always recommending a good moisturizer with compounds that the skin is producing, for example, and the skin is used to. So minerals, vitamins, ceramides, for example, different kind of oils that the skin is used to. That we are working on, not taking olive oil or botanical extracts or anything that the skin is not used to. That we don't think has a place in the skin. And then we work with concentrates. So we have, to minimize the ingredients, also we always have a moisturizer and a concentrate that you mix into the moisturizer. And here we have concentrates, for example, we talked a lot about that today, but we have one with retinol, with vitamin C, with N-acetylglucosamine, which is a building stone to hyaluronic acid. So that is focused on the active ingredients that really gives an effect. And then we also have concentrates with live probiotics. So in our case, we have developed a probiotic concentrate that has breast milk bacteria. So we have seen that this live lactic acid bacteria from breast milk is really has an anti-inflammatory effect on the skin. So that we're working on. And then of course we are developing sunscreen, but our philosophy is that you should use sunscreen when the sunscreen is needed. So for example, when the UV index is above 2, and that normally in Sweden is from beginning of April to, let's say, October. So 6 months we are recommending sunscreen.
So is it appropriate to say the philosophy of you and Skinome is going on the minimalism on the skincare?
Yeah, definitely.
What's next for you and Skinome? Any future launches or future research?
Yeah. So we have done a lot of research now with Karolinska Institute on how the microbiome is changing with that we are using freshly made skincare compared to conventional skincare. So now we have got quite a lot of interest from that. So I was, for example, in Holland, in The Hague 2 weeks ago to present the data. So we are now really on a tour to talk about and to also to educate about how preservatives can affect the skin. And but then we're also, of course, working on new launches. We have a very interesting product actually that is coming this autumn, where we have investigated the oral microbiome, because the interesting thing is that if you see on animals and also on human beings, the first instinct when you get a wound, if you have a dog, for example, that gets a wound, it licks the wound. All animals is doing that, and that is actually all also our instinct. So if we get a scratch on our finger, we would lick it or suck on it. And it's what has been shown now is that the saliva microbiome is so important. It has really healing properties. So we are now looking into like bacteria from saliva for healing properties of for example acne. So that will be our next launch.
And what role does self-acceptance play in how we treat our skin or view our skin?
Yeah. So I think self-acceptance is, I mean, for me, I have also, because that's the thing that, how should I say this? We are all, I mean, everyone is different. We see differences between, as we spoke about, between men and women. We see individual differences between us. And also, for me, for example, looking at my vitiligo, I always looked upon that as a disease and something that I really wanted to get rid of. Now I see it in a very different way. I still have, for example, vitiligo on my hands, and now I have a completely different relationship with them, because I see, for example, I mean, now we are if you look in nature, for example, all the different kind of dogs have different furs and different spotty furs or different color of the fur, and if we also look at vitiligo, for example, we have seen that there is now a big study looking at the cancer rate in vitiligo patients, which seems to be lower. So many kind of cancers, not only skin cancer, but also ovarian cancer, kidney cancer, for example, has a lower. We have a lower incidence of cancer in if you have vitiligo, and all this you can. What I think from a philosophy perspective is really that you always have two sides of the coin, and you to be more self-acceptance, try to look at the other side of the coin as well, because there are always two sides of the coin. And for me, when I meet so many women, because we have also we offer skin scans and also digital consultations that you can book on our homepage, and it's just so astonishing how many. I mean, it's mainly women that we see, but also men are coming, but still mainly women, and they see things on their face that no one else would see. For example, someone that could really think that the skin is oily and they have bigger pores, for example. I mean, that can also be a very good thing, because if you have an oily skin type, you're actually less prone to get to age. And that we also see from an ethnic perspective, that if you have more oil production in the skin, it seems to slower down the skin aging. You get skin wrinkles and fine lines much later in life. So yeah, I really think it's about always seeing the other side of coins, because you can always find the other side of the coin.
And as you rightly said, but at the same time, if your skin is oily, it could also be more prone to pores or the clogging of pores that happens.
Yeah, that could also be, but then there are compounds that could actually treat that and open up the pores. For example, azelaic acid is a good compound to really open up the pores and to minimize the risk of getting clogged pores and acne.
This is an interesting question.
Yeah.
So, if you could change one thing about the beauty industry, what
Mm.
would it be?
I think that would be oh wow, that's a huge question, but I think
Mm.
it's about having, actually mainly from kind of from the consumer perspective, to not believe everything that they're offering. So, and what I think the beauty industry can change then is uh, to yeah to from both from an environmental perspective, but also very much from a skin health perspective, that minimize the amount of products that is sold and that is applied on the skin, because that can really really disturb the skin more than it makes a profit.
Okay, what is the hype around Korean and Japanese skincare, and why do these routines and products generate so much buzz?
That, oh wow, yeah. You tell me. but but I think, oh, this is I think from the interest from European women into this, I think, is because from an ethnic perspective, we can see that, for example, Japanese women, Korean women, they are aging so much slower from a genetic perspective. So that is how it is. Um, and so in that way, I think they are perfect kind of models to market different kind of skincare solutions, just because of their
Genetic
genetics in a way.
factor.
Yeah. But then it has in that market, in the South Korean market, and why that is, I don't know, but there has been a huge focus on skincare, and since, I think, probably the last 15 years, they have really really developed even, innovation centers for skincare. They have some companies have even, incubators for this, that is only looking at different kind of textures. Exactly the same thing as, um, chocolate companies are doing. There is one chocolate company, for example, that there is so much innovation on if you eat it and what happens in the mouth, like can you get things that kind of pops in the mouth, etc. And that's exactly the same thing with these incubators or innovation centers in South Korea. They are looking at all different kind of textures, and look at what kind of stands out most. So that, I think, is where all these kind of different product forms are coming from. I think even serums came from the beginning from South Korea. I'm not really sure, but I think so. And that is only like a product format. It's a more jelly format. And from South Korea, you have all these essences, gel essences, or you have spray essences, for example. And I think we are all interested in new format and gimmicks and products that are feeling in a different way. And if you make a good story about it as well, it can really fly from a marketing perspective. But I think they have been very, from a kind of marketing perspective, they have been very successful in this.
So, is it rightly to say the philosophies of the skincare industry coming from the Korean or the Japanese side are more of science backed, or they are more of a marketing backed?
Yeah, I would say marketing, actually. Yeah, because the ingredients that are used are ingredients that are very old and have been used in skincare for a long time. And then they have some but they are also very old-fashioned, I think. I mean, they come from, and this is another very crazy thing, you know, having snail secret snail, what do you say, snail slime, for example, and now it was jellyfish, mashed jellyfishes, and all these animal ingredients that actually comes from South Korea. That I think is very crazy, because that, of course, we did a long time ago. We used animal ingredients because we didn't have anything else. Now we have, I mean, for example, squalane or squalene, that is an oil that we have inside the skin that we are using a lot, for example, in our products. Like 30 years ago, when you wanted to buy squalane, or maybe 40 years ago probably, you got it from shark liver. But of course nowadays we don't fish sharks to get this oil. We have other ways to get it, like, for example, from our point of view, we get it through big fermentation tanks where you actually ferment, for example, sugar canes and other ingredients, and then you get this oil, very, very pure squalane oil. We would never get that from sharks.
How do you see the skincare industry going to evolve in the next decade, scientifically and ethically?
I hope that we would have much more common sense in skincare, and that all these crazy things that we have talked about now would really diminish. Like there has even been a trend to have long inky lists, that as many ingredients that you have, then you can understand that the product is expensive, for example. I mean, that is also a crazy thing. I think I really, really just hope that the skincare industry is kind of spirited with more common sense.
Johanna, thank you so much for coming to the podcast and sharing not just your expertise, but your passion and purpose with the Skinome.
Oh, thank you very much.
Your journey from academically driven to entrepreneurship is truly inspiring.
Oh, thank
And
you so much.
it is lovely to see that you're driving, demystifying, I would say, all the myths, and actually working for the real core, what is important for skin. Thank you for tuning in to All About You and For You. Until next time, keep taking care of your skin and keep looking after your health.
Thank you very much for listening.
Thank you.